Welcome to Teen Talk TV and Colby's Corner. I'm your host, Colby Christina. Colby's Corner is your premier destination for teens who want a safe place to learn and talk about what's really happening in their lives, academically, culturally, and socially. Our first guest today is one who I truly admire, Mr. Phil Andrews. He is an entrepreneur, he is a mentor, and he is a strategist. Mr. Phil Andrews is CEO of PA Public Relations Company and the current president of the Long Island African American Chamber of Commerce. Phil Andrews is the current president of the Long Island African American Chamber of Commerce and the past president of the 100 Black Men of Long Island. Founded in 1974, the 100 serves as an international coalition focused on creating educational opportunities, promoting economic and empowerment, addressing health disparities, and creating positive mentoring relationships. As founder of the PA Public Relations Company, Phil has been afforded the privilege to serve as Public Relations Director for a variety of companies, community initiatives, and professional organizations. Andrew's business acumen is often sought after by organizations that host major events, benefits, and fundraisers. Prior to beginning his career in public relations, Phil was the vice president and marketing director of the Haircut Hut franchise for more than 10 years. Andrew's drive is a profound concern for his community. He continues to build networks, but none more important than that of the education and mentoring of the young people. As a certified mentor, Phil Andrews' goals involve encouraging as many young, promising men and women as possible by compelling them to serve with the very best of their minds and talents. Without further ado, Mr. Phil Andrews. How are you feeling today?
Thank you. I'm doing great.
I'm so delighted to have you today. So right now, we're just going to dive right into it. I want to know how a teen can start their own business, just like every other adult can. So first, by having the brainstorming aspect. How can we brainstorm to find a business that we know will be successful in today's society?
Well, one of the first things I was saying, business, is we need to get an idea about a product, service, or idea, because there's something that the world needs. There's an old saying, find a need and fill it. It's one of the oldest business axioms on the planet. Yeah. Because if you sell something that somebody needs, they're going to come running to you. So yeah. The other thing is, brainstorming is a very unique process. One of the things I think you need to do is assess your own strengths, your weakness, your opportunities, and your threats. Because sometimes we could do something very well, but we never think about the business idea of it. Like I heard Colby cooks very well, but she may never thought about doing cooking as a business. So our natural skill sets, sometimes it could be, you might be a connector, you might be a writer, right? Books, there's a book business industry. So you have to always look for your skills. And brainstorming is very important because innovation is the hallmark of champions. And someone said that you either innovate or you die. That's why you always got these new phones coming on the market, right?
Yeah.
Because we need new things and people get tired of old things. Or sometimes you may be able to improve an existing product. So brainstorming is very important. They say the average person get 100 ideas every day that's probably worth $1 million. But guess what? They never act on those ideas. So that's what the brainstorming is. I want you to take it one step further. Not only brainstorm, but write your ideas down. One of my mentors told me that a short pencil is better than a long memory.
Okay. So now that we have brainstormed and explored all our different options, how do we conduct research, like finding the right financing? Because we are teens, so a lot of us are either in school and college, and that pretty much takes up all of our time, so we don't really have a job to have the money. So where can we find good financing?
Well, financing could come from many sources. It could come from your parents, your uncles, your cousins. It could come from your friends. It can also come from your own ability to fund your own business. It also can come to getting loans or GoFundMe. They have what they call crowdfunding today. If you got a good idea, somebody buy into your idea and you say, well, when this idea come to fruition, I'm gonna give you a signed autograph of my picture because you supported it. So today, they made a special law with the government that you don't have to go to banks just to fundraise, but crowdfunding and stuff like that. But you have to be regulated because you got to know. That's why you got to have your tax man, because you can't. When you start taking money, the IRS is going to come to see you a little later. So funding is many ideas of the Small Business Administration. They back loans by the government. One of the things that businesses have a misconception is that you need a lot of money. Sometimes you don't need a lot of money. What you need is a sound plan, because marketing create finance, right? If I tell people 100 people I'm having a seminar down the block for $20, and 100 people come, how much money did I make? And did I start with any money? I didn't start with any money. There's also forms of capital. There's human capital. There's intellectual capital. There's cultural capital. So capital comes in more forms than just money.
Okay. So, in your opinion, based on what we see in today's society, what good target audience do you see would benefit from these, from these businesses, like a dance school or a tutoring company? Like, what do you see is really, really, really needed right now?
Well, there's a lot of things needed, and what you got to do as a business person is find your niche, And sometimes someone said that the best idea to start an idea when an idea is born. Just like when a child is born, that's when you nourish it. So it's sometimes you could see a business. You ever seen a business that was raggedy, and then somebody else came along and they innovated the business and they made it the most beautiful store in the world? Yeah. So we can also improve on the existing service, but there may be something that you are just born to do, And I know you're passionate about a couple of things, so you probably have several entrepreneurial ideas. So your passion. What would you do if you made all the money in the world and you didn't need money? You would do something that you love. That's probably what you would do and make money at. So we have to be passionate, because long before you make money, sometimes you have to commit passion to your business and commitment and hard work, and then the money comes. So find out what you love, find out your talent, and you have to be skillful today too. Years ago, you ever heard of a mom and pop business?
Yes.
You ever been in a raggedy business that wasn't up to par? But today you have to have your business, you have to give world-class service. And you have to be exceptional, because people expect a certain level of quality in your business. And I wanted you to take this idea. Your business cannot become more than what you are. So self-development, if you develop yourself and keep developing yourself, your bank account is going to increase. If you increase your image, your bank account is going to increase. So remember, business cannot become more than what we are.
Okay. So now that we've brainstormed, we've conducted our research, now it's time to implement that plan. So how could we market our product or service to the public?
Well, what we need to do is we need to get a short-term plan. A short-term plan could be like anything from 1 to 3 months. We need a daily plan. Like, every day, if you're a business owner, you need to get up and say, what I need to do today, what I need to do in a month, what I need to do in midterm, what I need to do in a year, what I need to do in 3 years, what I need to do 5 years. Because out of your success flows actions, and you got to have a daily action plan. A lot of people get up every day, but they have not created the plan to direct them where they need to go. Now, you wouldn't go down to Florida without a map, right? Because you need to know how to get there. And the same thing in business, solid planning, and also skills. We understand that what we do at the chamber, business need capacity. If you've never been in business, there's going to be certain skills you're going to need. Like, you wouldn't go into be a doctor without learning how to be a doctor, right? So you wouldn't go into business without learning the language of business. So the first thing that we do is we teach you business, because it's a different language.
Okay. So that's a good approach. Now I kind of understand on myself. Now I understand what direction to turn to. So now, kind of like the fun part of business, the naming part. So how should we go about naming? For me, example, I want to set up my own dance company, and I've taken the necessary steps in starting that, but I don't know what name I want to go to.
Well, there's certain books that you could read, like Duct Tape Marketing. that deals with branding and naming. Because when you name a business, you want it to stick. You know, like a commercial, if I say, they're great, you'll know what company that is probably, right?
Yeah.
You'll know that's Frosted Flakes. So
Okay.
we want our business to, we may even have to develop a jingle for Colby. And it maybe just Colby's Dance School. Colby may be so famous, we just could name it Colby's Dance School. So
Okay.
we have to give it some thought, and maybe even bounce it off people's ideas. We talked about brainstorming. Maybe we need some team around feedback. We need some survey. You know, like when somebody say what color to wear, do you look nice on this color? So we might have to go through a process through naming, because naming could be so important that if you don't name it the right thing, it would never take off. Because a name, what's in a name? It could be millions of dollars in a name. So take your time naming your company.
Okay. Location-wise, say for instance you have a hair salon. And me personally, you know, I go and I get my hair done, different things like that, but they close down because they're not in an open enough area for people to draw people in. So how can you find a very good location that you know will stick and you know people will come to?
Well, very simple. The oldest concept in business is location. The most important thing in business is location, location, location. I said it 3 times because if you don't have the proper location, you have to spend much more on advertising. You know, one of the things I did when I had a beauty salon, Involve One Quality Plus beauty salon, we never focused on money. We focused on quality plus service, and we produced the money. I studied the census. I knew how many cars was going down that boulevard, right? And guess what? No people was walking down the street. So I knew I needed a lighted sign because millions of people drove by there every day. And guess what? I also knew that in the winter it got dark, so I needed a lighted sign because the people lose visibility. So we have to study the environment that we're going into business and really know statistics, you know, because advertising is also an important concept. You know, the more you advertise, the larger the reach and the frequency which make advertising work. And then I do public relations, so I raise a brand. You know, I've done some public relations. Colby is very famous today because public relations, we don't have to pay for it because I'm using my influence to get stories for you. So that's what we need, the marketing. Brand, I would recommend reading the book by the gentleman, Fubu. He wrote a book on brand. And what it is, a lot of companies, they get out there, they never become a brand. Because you might be an item. Like Colby is a brand now. A lot of people know Colby in the marketplace. But she didn't start out that way. You had to go through steps and process. And if Colby would have quit, nobody would say, oh, Colby's no longer around. She just was an item. But Colby is a brand. So we have to take a business through processes of long-term being in the marketplace for people to believe in your customer service and your business.
Okay, great. So now we've established our business, correct? And now we want to take that business to the next level. In terms of registering the business, say if you have a nonprofit or you have a corporation, where do we turn to in getting the proper paperwork to make sure our business is actually completely and actually registered?
There's quite a few places that do that. In New York State, they have what they call entrepreneurial assistance centers. They help people. You know, the government, they fund help for businesses because when businesses become successful, they pay taxes. You have the Small Business Administration. You have people like us in Chamber of Commerce's that could tell you where you need to go because once again, you're getting into a new field. So you need a mentor, just like you may have had a mentor in your dancing, right? So when you get into business, you're gonna need a different type of help. But there's help out there, and you don't have to do it alone. And you may also want to consider having a mentor.
Oh, okay, great. So now let's talk about why you wanted to get into public relations. What, like, was it as a kid, or like you just liked helping getting people out there, or like what was it?
Well, 2 things. I read once that communication is power. And 2, when you look at all of the most successful people on the planet, a lot of them was massive communicators. If you look at Dr. King, did he talk to a lot of people? You know, he talked to people, and he talked to people, and he talked to people. So communication is a very powerful tool. And for about like 25 years, I've been speaking in front of audiences. And I've read once that speaking in front of audiences is one of the quickest way to jettison yourself to success, right? Once again, communications empowers. Talk to people, talk to people. The more people you talk, to, guess what? The more famous you're going to become.
Next, let's talk about your experience as being the current president of the Long Island African American Chamber of Commerce. Like, how did that position come about, and how do you feel about that position? What do you do?
Well, what I do, what happened is I was the president of 100 Black Men, and my term was up. You know, I was like Obama. I was turned out. And then they called me and asked me to be the president of the Chamber of Commerce. But I was equipped. I'm a small business person of the year, 1995, 1998 of a Chamber of Commerce. I sat on board of directors of Chambers of Commerce. I was even considered as being a president of other Chambers of Commerce in the past. So sometimes God has prepared all your life for things that you come up to. And I was equipped, because one of the things I believe, you have to have the right character, integrity, but you also have to be skillful and good in what you do. And I was equipped to be the president. But I love it because it's all about using the ability that I have, the knowledge. I'm an entrepreneur myself, so even the chamber it's a business. It's got a business ID, it got a tax ID, it's a business. A nonprofit, it's a business entity. So I drive the chamber.
Great, that's awesome. So a lot of teens feel like they can't set up their own businesses because they feel like the adults are more experienced, but then again, the teens actually have a lot of background themselves. So what can you tell the teens to kind of motivate them and push them to actually go out and start their own business? Because a lot of them feel like they can't because they don't have enough background or history as an adult would.
Well, first thing I would do is Google teenagers that have started their business. There's a gentleman, a young man right here from New York. He started a business, I believe, with ketchup, and it's a multi-million-dollar business. Because one of the things I believe in the concept of master mentoring, we learn best from those that's closest to us. And some young people have done that already. So we could look for young people to connect you to young people that started young, very early, 14, 15 years old in business, and they're now millionaires.
Great, awesome. Do you have any workshops like teens or pretty much any age group can come to and gain more insight and knowledge on how to start their actual business?
Well, we would be willing to come talk to any young person that want to be business, because that's part of what we do, is paying it forward. And the best idea is also working with young people. You know, young people are like sponges.
Yeah.
So we give them this business concept. Not only if they never go into business themselves, even if they become an employer, they're gonna have an entrepreneurial mindset when they go into a job. You know, I don't know if you know, but an entrepreneurial mindset in an employee situation, if he sees something that need to be done, guess what happens? He gets it done.
Yes.
So it's a mindset. Entrepreneurial is a mindset. It's like solving problems, vision. You know, even when I was in law enforcement for many years, the supervisor would ask me to go get something, like snow. Because I had an entrepreneurial mindset, the other officers, they would go one time and didn't come back with no salt for the snow. I went 5 levels deep till I got it done. See, that's the type of vision that we need. We need people that can get things done, see around the block, have vision. And that's what we want to teach young people, that getting a certain mindset of, you know, you just can't look at what's in front of you all the time. You know, you got to have, like you was talking about brainstorming. There was a lady, I'm going to tell you a story. There was a lady that worked for Southwest Airlines. Mm-hmm. She was a secretary. And guess what? The president came to her to solve a problem that he couldn't do with administration. She solved the problem. The secretary. Years later, she became the president of Southwest Airlines, because she was able to say, he looked at her ability to solve problems. She had that mindset of, we can solve this problem. And years later, she never thought she could be a secretary, administration, and become the president of one of the largest airlines in the country.
Oh, wow.
Because she had an entrepreneurial mindset.
Amazing. So let's talk about your term with 100 Black Men, because I've personally been honored by that organization, and they have a great, great mission. So please talk along with that, because I know you like to encourage young men. So how can the young men get involved with 100 Black Men?
Well, one of the things is they can just call 100 Black Men. And one of the things is we believe that what they see is what they'll be. young people can't possibly emulate you unless they see you. So we believe that we can make a difference. We believe that we have to, like somebody said, we have to be right up in front on them. You know, we got to work with young people. We got to communicate with them, and we got to go where they at sometimes. We've took young men from Hempstead that were C students, and they went to compete against students around the country on a History Bowl and Financial Literacy Challenge. And guess what? They lost, but something sparked in them when they lost that competition nationally that they became A students and also business people in the future. So mentoring is a very powerful experience because sometimes, you know, we travel in the same circle. And then when you take a young person that's never been out of the city to a major conference, you've been to conferences, man, you know how hype you come back after you come from a conference? So they come back, they're hyped too, and they were like, we could do this. We could make a difference in the world. We could achieve. Just because they was exposed to young people that was doing it all over the country.
Yes, definitely. So sticking to the teens, have you ever gone out and talked in schools or anything like that?
Oh yes, I've been talking to schools and colleges for many years. I love to go because, like you said, we have to motivate kids. We have to get in the classrooms, and sometimes you don't get that real live talk that the teacher, somebody that's been out there in the world with business and did a lot, and now they're coming into the classroom. But I believe that academics is not just what you learn in the books. You must also learn some real life experience, because activity knowledge and people that have done things in the world is just as important as reading the book.
Oh, great. So we've talked about launching our own business, and there's also some teens that actually want to have a position like you in public relations and being the president of. So what schools could they attend or have you attended that actually helped you gain more knowledge for your positions that you have today?
Well, I've took a lot of business training over the years. I've been reading American Management Association since I was 21 years old.
Oh, wow.
That's the top. They talk about how to build a world-class business. And also Stanford Innovation Review. You know, reading people are ruling people. Now, reading is very important because when you read, you travel around the world. You know, so academics is one part, but then again, you could be academic, but then you don't have no application. And someone said, what good is knowledge if you don't have any action? So we need to combine. I believe in academics, but I also believe you need to apply your knowledge, because knowledge, it does nothing by itself, right? I'm smart, but I don't do nothing with my smartness.
Oh,
So I think school is important, but there's many ways to learn. You can learn from a conversation. Have you ever talked to somebody that's been on the planet a long time and you learned something?
yes.
You know, some of my mentees, they were Tuskegee Airmen. And guess what they told me? We all got a little Tuskegee in us. And they used to whisper that in my ear. And I was like, wow, that's powerful. But people think they can't be like a Tuskegee Airman. You could be great too.
Awesome. So now that I read your bio, and you're the current president of the Long Island African American Chamber of Commerce and the past president of 100 Black Men. And then I was surprised to see that you were the vice president and marketing director of the Haircut Hut franchise. So how did that come about?
Well, in my 20s, I got together with 4 coworkers, and we opened up 10 barbershops,
Wow.
and we had 100 employees. So what we did was, and you know where this came from? One quote. You know what the quote was? It was a quote from Percy Sutton. He said, all of my life I had access to people of ability, but did not have access to capital. I believe anything is possible if one has access to people of ability and capital. Sometimes we may be lacking money, but we got people of ability. So we put people of ability and capital together, and it makes a marriage, and we could get the job done.
Oh, wow. This is great. I'm actually very, very, very informed of things that I didn't even know. So what else can we talk about? So we have, going back to our business, so we have our brainstorm, and we talked about what audience to go to. We talked about what product we can kind of own. So I'm going to put myself into this. So just to use this as a, example for our live viewing audience. So I've been a professional actress and dancer and singer my entire life, since the age of 2, and now I want to launch my own dance company. But I don't really know what to do in terms of that. So how can I, like, really, based on my story, really start out with, you know, what direction to turn to?
One thing you could do, you can go to the Small Business Development Center.
Mm-hmm.
They have one at your college, and they help counsel you in your business. And they also have a program called Workshop and Business Opportunity, a 16-week course equivalent of an MBA that your business is being in the workshop. And by the 16th week, you now have a plan in your business.
Oh, okay. That's great. So now I want social media. Okay. So how can I market my dance school social media wise? Like Facebook, Twitter, is social media a good way of of marketing, or should I just stick to the websites?
I think social media is a very important component. I talked to some friends in major corporations, and they even told me we have to be where our customers are. But I think we need to know the etiquette of social media. A lot of people are trying to sell you without developing relationships. So we need to study social media. We need to put relevant content. Like, if you put such great content, and people are always happy that you're putting stuff up. And also, you're responding to people. You're saying thank you. You know, you're putting that human aspect of gratitude. A lot of times, people post things and they're really not communicating. Because, you know, communicating is what? That means somebody talking and somebody listening. So we have to communicate, develop one relationship at a time. And a lot of times we're not paying attention. You'd be surprised what you could do on Facebook. I'm going to give you a story on social media. When I was the president of 100 Black Men, there was a tape that was made in the Hempstead High School on mentoring. And the reporter was all the way covering the Olympics. I believe it was in Canada. And I had to contact her on LinkedIn because I knew she was connected to Gary Anthony Ramsey, and he connected me to this reporter. And guess what? Through social media, I got her to mail me the CD from Canada, and she was covering the Olympics.
Oh, wow.
Just to show you how deep the connection could be for social media.
So social media can definitely be a good tool to use in getting your product or service out there. Because, you know, teens are a lot more tech savvy, you know. So they're more on social media, and that's a good way.
And y'all use it better than us. I mean, like you said, you're not afraid of it. I mean, you grew up with it. I mean, a lot of kids, when they 3 and 4 years old, they on social media. So I think it's a great, I'm going to just say what Dr. Milana Karenga said about technology, though. And I do believe this, and you probably never heard this, that technology is only as good as the user.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not good by itself, but if we good and we put some of our good efforts behind it, then technology could work. And the second thing is, technology was never designed to use technology alone. I want you to always use technology and high touch. You remember how when you danced at the 100,
mm-hmm.
you touched the baby?
Yes.
Never forget the importance of touching people in life.
Okay, great. Well, I enjoyed having you on this show, and this concludes our first episode on teen entrepreneurship on Colby's Corner. I hope you teens and tweens out there are ready to get a head start up on your business just the way I am. You can find me on Facebook at Colby Christina, Twitter at Colby Christina, the number 1, Instagram Miss_Colby Christina. And I just hope you have a great time and found this talk very informative and motivating as it did for me. And light and love, and we'll see you at the top.